What is banking all about? It's about him, her, them. It's about managing today's challenges and planning for tomorrow's opportunities. It's having someone there when you need them, a trusted resource, a partner, a bank that knows you, not as a number or an account, but as a friend. Far from ordinary, right at home. That's Merchants Bank.
Hello, I'm Joyce Woodworth. Welcome to the Spirit of the Heartland. The building I'm standing in front of was built in 1932 and was officially named the Coca-Cola Bottling Company the year after. Since then, it has been owned and operated by the same family. Producing Coca-Cola in Winona, however, goes back 100 years. Today, we're going to meet the operations manager, who is a family member, and hear the story of this interesting business, which is currently one of 3 Coca-Cola bottling companies actually producing Coca-Cola left in the state of Minnesota.
Coca-Cola began as a soda pop in 1886 when a druggist, Dr. John Pemberton in Atlanta, Georgia, put together an elixir with carbonated water and discovered it made a refreshing drink. It was sold as a soda fountain drink until 1899, when the first bottling plant started to produce Coca-Cola in a bottle to sell primarily in taverns and dance halls. The search was then on to find bottlers across the nation to fill the bottles with the ever-popular growing soda pop. One of the stops ended in Winona, Minnesota in 1905 at the Winona Bottling Company at 265 East 4th Street. Today, the same Coca-Cola is bottled at 102 Franklin Street. For over 100 years, the refreshing soda pop produced in Winona, Minnesota has been enjoyed by every person in the nation, and especially by Winona's own bottler, Clint Kuhlman, who has helped his father run the bottling and distribution plant on Franklin Street. Clint's son-in-law, Leroy Telstead, currently manages the plant and has offered to share his knowledge with us on the history and making of Coca-Cola in Winona.
Could I buy you a soda before we get started?
Oh, I would love one, yeah. Oh, these are only 15 cents. I can't believe it.
Well, it's one of the few 15 centers around, I'm sure. This is our employee machine.
So you're giving them a break.
Yes.
Okay, how many, what year would this machine have been built?
Oh, this one actually, since it says Enjoy Coca-Cola, is after the late 60s, early 70s. Prior to that, it used to say Drink Coca-Cola on it.
Oh, okay. A little trivia for us.
Yeah. Anyway, what brand would you like today?
I'll have a regular Coke, please. Awesome.
And I'll open it for you.
Oh, thank you.
Oops.
Okay, you're going to have one too?
I think I will.
Ooh, there's something about having it in a bottle. It certainly tastes better, doesn't it?
Well, it does. I think also you get the feel of the cold bottle, and it just feels like it's going to be refreshing before you even start. So
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Delicious. Well, let's get
Here's
started.
to you.
I'm sitting now with Leroy Telstead, who is the operations manager here of the Coca-Cola Bottling Company, and Leroy is going to tell us the history from way back of Coca-Cola. Hi, Leroy. Welcome to the Spirit of the Heartland.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I know you've got some bottles here that kind of establish a timeline for us of Coca-Cola in Winona, and I'm going to let you take it away and tell us from the beginning to the end how Winona began through these bottles.
All right. Actually, these start quite early. The first contract with Coca-Cola was signed on November 23rd of 1905, so we just passed a milestone since Coca-Cola was first produced, and it was produced at the Winona Bottling Company. This was the original 1905 to 1910 bottle of the Winona Bottling Company. There was a gentleman by the name of George Hassinger that was the director of the Winona Bottling Company, and on November 23rd of 1905 he signed a contract with Coca-Cola to produce Coca-Cola, and it came in a barrel similar to this item right here. It came in a wooden barrel. I believe that this was 10 full gallons of syrup, and he purchased a total of 140 gallons of syrup that year.
Those first 14 barrels of syrup purchased in 1905, combined with carbonated water, were enough to make 18,000 bottles of Coke. Consequently, George Hassinger's successful bottling company, which also bottled Boob's famous beer, soon moved to a much larger building at 78 West 2nd Street.
And later, the same company had Winona Bottling Company with 7 fluid ounces. Well, this is the bottle that on the back side you would have applied this label. It was just a paper label that was applied to the bottles, and then it was washed off and another one applied next time around. And in 1923, a gentleman by the name of Frank Landon and a partner, Fred Jackson, purchased the Winona Bottling Company and created Conedale Bottling Company. That was originally part of the Conedale Farms and a water company. So this is coming from that side of what is currently our business. From the other side, there was in Minnesota City a Fifield Artesian Mineral Water Company that produced water and some beverages. They sold in approximately 1917 to Wunderlich Brothers. So this bottle says that it's a successor to the Fifield Artesian Mineral Water Company in Winona, Minnesota. And they became Wunderlich Brothers, and that was in the basement of Goltz Pharmacy. So there was not Coca-Cola produced in these. They did not have a contract. These companies had a contract with Coca-Cola. This is where Clint's father became involved in the business. In that era, my father-in-law's father purchased an interest in the Wunderlich Brothers from Carl Wunderlich. He sold his interest to Clinton A. Kuhlman, and they then continued on, and they were actually producing beverages in the basement of Goltz's Pharmacy. When it came to be about 1929, Conedale was down at the Park Brewery building, which is now Godfather's Pizza is there. The 3 partners that got together, it was Tom Retzler and Leo Wunderlich and Clinton A. Kuhlman, and so they merged all of these businesses together and built this building in 1932 on the corner of 2nd and Franklin. Moved the equipment from that Park Brewery into this building. It's been here and producing ever since, and this is an original 1941 bottle. Prior to them having any color applied to it, it's an embossed bottle that also says Winona, Minnesota on the bottom of it. So after that, in the 60s, they created this bottle, which was the first time that you saw the word Coke. Prior to that, it was only the word Coca-Cola.
But tell me about the curvature of this bottle. It looks like when it was first produced, there was not a curve in it. Have you always produced it with the curved bottle since 1933, and when was that established?
Actually, they were trying to come up with a package, and there were several different versions of what a Coke bottle would be, but they settled on a bottle that was called a hop skirt bottle or a contour bottle. There was a time when this was the first and only package of consumer goods that was patented. That was patented in 1923. But prior to that, they started using this bottle. They just didn't have it patented. In fact, in 1917, the Coca-Cola company said that if you're going to produce Coca-Cola, we suggest that you do it in this bottle. We have a calendar downstairs in 1917 that shows a bottle with this paper label, and that was the last bit of advertising that had the paper diamond-shaped label.
Clint Kuhlman Sr. was 12 years old when Coca-Cola decided their soda pop could only be put in their curved bottle. 8 years later, when he was 20 years old, he bought into the bottling business in the basement of Galt's Pharmacy. And in 1932, the heyday of bottling business for Coca-Cola, he and his two partners moved into the plant on Franklin Street. That year, there were 1,225 bottling plants producing Coca-Cola across the nation. Today, there are approximately 100. Minnesota once had 50 bottlers and today has 3 who actually produce the Coke as well as bottle it. Winona's Coca-Cola plant not only bottles the Coke, but is also a distributor of 178 different containers of liquid. Their distribution area includes a radius of 35 miles around Winona, the same area that Clint Sr. delivered to in the 1930s. Clint Kuhlman Sr. so loved the business that he remained in it for over 70 years. He passed away in 2001 at the age of 96. His son, Clinton Jr., joined him in the business after serving in World War II and worked side by side with his father, taking over as president in the 1970s, and like his father, still comes into the office every day. What makes Winona's Coca-Cola Bottling Company stand out from all the rest is the fact that they are still filling this 6.5-ounce bottle with Coca-Cola. In fact, they are one of 2 bottlers in the nation doing so, and the only bottler who fills 3 different size bottles, the 6.5-ounce, 10-ounce, and 16-ounce bottles with Coca-Cola. Well, Leroy, let's find out what's going on here today. How do you make the Coca-Cola? Do you still do it the same way they did it back in 1932?
We do basically the same thing. There was a time at which the bottling equipment basically dropped an ounce of syrup into the bottom of the bottle, and then the filler filled it up with carbonated water. Then after the cap was squeezed on it, it had to go through a mixer, where now the process is that we have our treated water and our syrup, and they come into a metering device and then go through a mix pump, and then it's carbonated as a finished product. These two reservoirs are allowing product to come down into this mix reservoir, and the way that's adjusted really is there is a fixed orifice that has a opening for the syrup to run through at a constant rate, and there is a micrometer that will allow you to adjust the amount of water to syrup. Since we do have to make it exactly 5.5 parts of water to 1 part of syrup. So an original 6.5 ounce bottle that we're going to be producing today has 5.5 ounces of water and 1 ounce of syrup in each bottle. We need to, after we have this mixed, then get the carbonation into it, the fizz of the soda. So this machine will push through this mix pump and enter into our carbonator reservoir. Get it down to about 34 degrees and pass it over the plates in approximately 41 pounds of pressure of only carbon dioxide. And when that gets through, we will have the finished product ready to go into the bottles. We do have a water treating facility here that takes the city's fine water and does adjust the alkalinity. And after that, it passes through sand filter, carbon purifier, and a polishing filter, and is tested daily. We verify the product's quality and measurements by using a small refractometer. Our goal is to have it 3.7 times the volume of the product. That's what it's called. So in other words, if you have a 6.5 ounce bottle, we actually put 3.7 6.5 bottles of carbon dioxide in that small bottle, along with the liquid. So, but once that's done, then it gets passed through the stainless steel tubing and over to our filler, which also fills the product and puts the cap on it.
The fact that Winona's Coca-Cola bottling plant is so unique in continuing to produce the outdated 6.5 ounce bottle of Coke is not lost on certain people whose sense of nostalgia is important to them. Leroy explains how they can acquire this original icon of Coca-Cola.
The 6.5 ounce mostly are distributed to customers that come specifically to our facility from all over. We only have the rights to distribute within 35 miles of here, basically. So that means that no one else really has the opportunity to sell or wholesale Coca-Cola in our territory, nor do we have the ability to sell elsewhere. So, for example, if someone called me from Minneapolis and said, "Would you ship me up a few cases of these bottles?" I would have to say, "No, I can't do that. It's against the policies of Coca-Cola, and you're sure welcome to come and visit Winona. And while you're here, stop in and we'll sell you a case as long as we have a little bit of an understanding that you're going to bring it back, because it is a returnable bottle, and for us it's not just a souvenir or an antique."
So is your place the only place people can buy this 5.5 or 6.5 ounce bottle?
Well, except for Union City, Tennessee, in the state of Minnesota. There is actually a lady that comes twice a year from Washington, D.C., and gets only 6.5 ounce bottles. There are people that come from Minneapolis, Chicago, North and South Dakota, Iowa, and as well all over the state of Minnesota that come for their little 6.5 ounce. Quite a few of them have like the old style machines, like you'll see kind of in the background in the periphery here. So they have that in their rec room. And mostly we're selling 10 ounce, but there are a few taverns and some of the, there are some of the delis, for example, that do have the 10 ounce bottles. So you're able to get them in this area. We also still have 40 machines approximately out in different offices and factories around our territory, so we deliver it by our trucks.
Well, what happens when these bottles disappear? I mean, that may happen someday. I don't know how many are left.
Well, we only lose about 1% when we run. So say we're running 100 cases, which is a very small amount. We'd usually run a few more than that, but you will have a chip in the top of the bottle so that it's flawed in some way, so you'll reject that. Currently, I think that we have enough glass, unless consumption actually increases in these bottles, which is contrary to the trend. We could probably do this for several more years. So there's a bit of a stash of bottles that we have put away, and we still look for them.
All right, now I have another question. We do have a little bottle here of Coca-Cola that actually was purchased in one of the stores very near your distribution plant here. Is this the 6.5-ounce bottle that you were talking about that you make here?
No, it isn't. On holidays, this specific one was made as a Christmas bottle. And that is made or filled in a non-returnable glass package. It looks very similar, but it's not thick enough glass so that as small as that bottle is, comparing it to the 6.5 ounce, it looks quite similar, but this one only holds 6.5 ounces and this holds 8 ounces. So the thinner glass would not allow it to be sterilized repeatedly, because we cook that up at 150 degrees with strong detergent to assure that we have a completely sterile package. That thin of glass wouldn't hold up to that kind of vigorous washing. So that's what it is not produced by us, and the product that's inside is the same.
Leroy, you have some fascinating memorabilia all around this place. Like this, for instance, this looks like an old cooler. Can you tell me about this, and then tell me about some of your other memorabilia?
There are lots of items that are in storage here, including this earliest of coolers or vending machines. You would open the lid and have bottles of 6.5 ounce bottles. It's not very deep, so you couldn't really put a large package in there. But this is from about the 1930s. And back in here you have a porcelain sign that was outdoors for over 50 years. And it still is in beautiful condition. This was a bag rack from Rupert's grocery store. And I couldn't tell you where this large steel Coke bottle came from or how it got there, but there are a lot of the cardboard signs. And we're an antique kind of family. Our houses are vintage places, and this is truly a vintage business, and so the signage kind of goes along with that.
I know you bottle 3 Coca-Cola sizes here, and then you also bottle other soft drinks. Let's talk about what exactly you bottle here, and are those unique drinks to anywhere in the nation?
We make Coke and Diet Coke and Sprite and Barks Root Beer and Mellow Yellow. But in the flavors that were probably similar to what was bottled by the Wunderlich brothers or earlier on with the Winona Bottling Company, you can get flavors from flavor houses. They're called, as a place where they make extracts. And we've made the same extract type of concentrate into a strawberry and a grape and a grapefruit and a cream soda and an orange.
I just remember those so distinctly because my father, when I was a little girl, used to work at Bay State, and then on Friday nights he'd stop off here and buy me a bottle of your cream soda, bring it to my house, which was only actually 3 blocks away from here. But now you're a distributor as well as a bottler here, aren't you? So you have also cans of Coke that you distribute?
There are, at this point, 178 different packages that we distribute. Since there are 10 varieties of the 10 ounce and 1 flavor of the 6.5 ounce and 3 flavors of the 16 ounce, That only adds up to 14 out of the 178. We do produce some premix, which is a 5-gallon can of pop. But other than that, it is 30 kinds of cans, 178 different packages of waters and juices and isotonic beverages, and lately the evolution of power drinks or energy drinks, as well as the very wide expanding diet category. You know, prior to my coming here in 1983, there were only 2 diet soft drinks, that being Fresca and Tab. But when I came here in 1983, they invented a product called Diet Coke. And it's done phenomenally well, but now we have Diet Coke, caffeine-free Diet Coke, Diet Coke with cherry, Diet Coke with black cherry vanilla.
Beaver, I want to thank you for all the information that you've given us on the Coca-Cola. And you know, truly, it sounds like you are really up to the task for the future and what it's going to bring you. But I know there's always those people that are appreciative of the Coke in the bottle, because there's something about this, it just tastes a little bit different. And don't you find that people really like it?
Oh, I really do. And it's a pleasure to have you come over to our facility and show off a part of history and also a part of what is today, so that people really can enjoy their Coke in all of the different, or their beverage of choice in all the different fashions.
In their container of choice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thanks for joining me today. Please join me again next week. Till then, enjoy the Spirit of the Heartland.